was supposed to be a celebration, a triumphant return, a night filled with joy, laughter, and tears of happiness. But somewhere in the midst of flashing lights, roaring cheers, and electrifying music, one moment froze everyone in place and left thousands of fans holding their breath. Kim Seok-jin, known globally as Jin of BTS, was performing his long-awaited solo concert in Tampa as part of his Run Seok-jin Ep 3 tour. The arena was packed. Armies from across the US had flown in wearing Run Jin merch and chanting Seok-jin with synchronized arm movements, a callback to his variety series. But it wasn't the setlist or the elaborate visuals that caught everyone's attention that night. It was a single, repeated glance. Throughout the show, Jin's energy was magnetic. He laughed, danced, teased the crowd. He was everything a headliner should be. Yet multiple fans in sections 102 and 103 began noticing something strange. He kept glancing toward the same empty seat near the center of the lower tier, just above the barricade line. Not once, but multiple times. Between songs, during his speeches, even while smiling, his eyes would flicker back, subtle but deliberate. At first, fans thought nothing of it, but after the third, maybe fourth glance, murmurs began to ripple through the audience. "Why does he keep looking there?" one fan tweeted mid-concert. "That seat's empty. It's like he's waiting for someone who never came." Another army on TikTok uploaded a zoomed-in video with the caption, "Jin keeps checking this one seat. Was Jungkook supposed to be there tonight?" The clip now has over 2.3 million views. Social media exploded in speculation. Was it Jungkook's seat? Was Jin expecting him? It's worth noting that Jungkook has not been seen in public for days, ever since a cryptic Instagram story on July 23rd featuring only black screen text. Sometimes, silence says more than a song. Some fans now believe this silent message was connected to Jin's concert. Others wonder if Jungkook had indeed planned to come but backed out for personal reasons. Or worse, was he uninvited? Adding fuel to the fire, fans uncovered footage from Jin's earlier Seoul concert where he seemingly stared into the same position in the crowd, again to an empty seat. Whatever this is, it's not a coincidence. Jin is clearly holding space for someone, and it hurts. The emotional weight of the moment deepens when one recalls Jin and Jungkook's history. While known for their playful dynamics, their real connection has often been expressed in quieter, more meaningful ways. Shoulder pats, backstage glances, unreleased letters read during festa, and of course, that final dinner before Jin's enlistment when Jungkook barely held back tears. Jin has always looked at Jungkook like he's his baby brother, one army wrote on Weverse after the Tampa show. So when he looks at that empty seat, it's more than just absence, it's a heartbreak. As of this article's publication, Big Hit Music has not released any official statement regarding Jungkook's absence at Jin's concert or the identity of the reserved seat. Was it really meant for Jungkook, or was it something or someone else entirely? The label silence only deepens the mystery. The next stop on Jin's US tour is scheduled for Newark on July 30th. Armies are already watching closely. Will that same seat appear again? Will it be empty once more? Or will Jungkook finally show up? Some fans are even planning to bring signs that say that seat was never empty, symbolizing Jungkook's presence in spirit. Others are asking the harder questions. Was there a falling out? Did something happen that we weren't told? Or is this simply Jin's way of expressing how deeply he misses his younger brother? One thing is certain. What was meant to be a night of joyful reunion has turned into one of the most emotionally charged performances of the entire tour. And in true BTS fashion, they said nothing but spoke everything. As the concert drew to a close, the atmosphere in the Amalie Arena shifted. Jin stood beneath the lights, soaked in sweat and emotion. He thanked the audience in his signature charming way, his voice both steady and trembling. The final song began, a slower ballad with lyrics that spoke of distance, time, and waiting. And that's when it happened again. He turned his head just slightly. His gaze drifted unmistakably toward that seat. The cameras on the big screens didn't catch it, but those in the audience who had been watching for it, those who knew, saw everything. The pause in his eyes, the breath he held, the subtle way his lips pressed together, holding back words that would never be said aloud. At that moment, it didn't feel like a concert anymore. It felt like something private, something sacred. Thousands of fans watched him not as an idol, but as a man who was missing someone.
Backstage after the show, staff members were reportedly seen exchanging worried glances. Jin didn't speak much, except to say thank you to his team. One unnamed dancer shared on Instagram that the mood behind the scenes was unexpectedly heavy, adding that it felt like there was someone who was supposed to be there, but wasn't. That sentiment echoed through fan communities across the world. Theories spread like wildfire on Twitter and TikTok. Some speculated that Jungkook had promised to attend, perhaps even had a reserved seat, but pulled out at the last second, whether due to personal issues, a scheduling conflict, or something deeper. No one knew for sure. Others pointed to the long-standing closeness between the two, believing that seat represented more than a physical absence. It was symbolic, intentional. Fan edits began appearing overnight, videos that combined footage of Jin on stage with clips of Jungkook from past performances. One viral edit opened with Jungkook laughing during a Run BTS episode and cut suddenly to Jin looking out over the crowd, accompanied by the caption, "This was the moment he looked for him and didn't find him." Within hours, it had garnered over 5 million views and tens of thousands of comments, many from fans who admitted they cried watching it. While many continued to hope that this is simply a touching tribute or a sign of longing, darker speculations continue to grow. Some believe there has been a rift between the two members, subtle but painful. Others wonder if the pressure of solo careers, shifting dynamics post-military, and the weight of individual success have taken a toll on the once unbreakable bond. And then there's the question no one wants to ask out loud. Did Jungkook choose not to come? If so, why? The silence from both camps, Jin and Jungkook, has only deepened the sense of mystery. No posts, no mentions, no clarifications. Big Hit Music remains tight-lipped, refusing to address the rumors, perhaps hoping it will pass, or perhaps acknowledging that the truth, whatever it may be, is far more complicated than what a press release could explain. But the fans remember. They remember the way Jin stood beside Jungkook during his earliest performances, how he once said, "He's like my baby, even though he's stronger than me now." They remember the way Jungkook once called Jin the Hing who understands me without words. They remember birthdays, behind-the-scenes hugs, and shared tears. That's why this silence is so loud. And maybe that's why that one seat, empty, motionless, perfectly lit by coincidence or intention, has become the most talked about element of the entire tour. In a show built around spectacle, fan service, and variety show flair, it was the unspoken that pierced the loudest. In Newark, where Jin is set to perform next, fans are already coordinating. Some have agreed to leave a white rose on one chair, symbolizing the person who didn't show up. Others have printed banners that read, "Even if you're not here, we still feel you." A few are preparing fan chants that include Jungkook's name, hoping to make Jin smile or maybe cry. Either way, they want him to know they saw what he didn't say. There is something universally human about watching someone look for someone they care about and not finding them. It hits a part of the heart that can't be explained, only felt. And while no one knows if Jungkook will appear at the next show or if Jin will ever acknowledge what fans believe to be true, one thing is clear. That empty seat in Tampa wasn't just a seat. It was a story, a wound, a message, And now a mystery that may never be solved. But sometimes the most powerful messages are the ones left unsaid. Just one look was enough. Clips from the concert multiplied across platforms, each one slowed down, zoomed in, analyzed like sacred text. Fans paused and replayed the same second where Jin, standing under the spotlight with thousands screaming his name, momentarily lost focus. His smile faltered. His hand, raised to wave, lowered a little too soon. He wasn't looking at the audience. He wasn't looking at the cameras. He was looking at that space, at nothing, or perhaps at someone who should have been there. That single look became the heartbeat of the concert, and somewhere else in the world, Jungkook was silent. Not a post, not a like, not a whisper. It felt strange, unnatural, wrong. Because this was Jin's first tour post-military, his return to the stage not as a group member, but as a solo artist. It was monumental, historic. Every member had posted congratulations. RM with the casual, Hung is back, Jimin with hearts and a photo from rehearsal, even Suga with his dry humor. But Jungkook? Nothing. Not a flower, not a caption, not even a reposted story. For a duo whose connection had always felt different, playful on the outside, quietly emotional beneath, it felt like something had been severed. Fans weren't sure whether to feel worried, hurt, or simply confused. Some speculated that the silence wasn't intentional, but protective, that perhaps something private had happened, something so personal, so fragile, it couldn't be dressed up in hashtags or cute emojis. Others wondered if they had grown apart, pulled by the weight of solo careers, shifting identities, and the reality of time spent in different chapters of life. But the most haunting theory was also the simplest. Maybe they had a disagreement. Not dramatic, not scandalous, just human. And in that quiet distance, Jin chose not to speak about it directly. He looked at the seat. That was all. When the video of the Tampa moment crossed into Korean online communities, reactions shifted from curiosity to sorrow. One user wrote, "That wasn't the look of a performer scanning the crowd. That was a man searching for someone who used to be there every time." Another said, "It's the way he smiled after, like he didn't want us to notice." Still, no response came from Jungkook. The silence stretched like an invisible thread pulled too tight. And then something strange happened. The hashtag, "The seat was for Jungkook," began trending globally. Armies across continents were posting photos of empty chairs with letters, song lyrics, or short captions like, "He still remembers," or "Not every presence is visible." It was as if the fandom, without any official confirmation, had silently agreed on the same thing. That seat belonged to Jungkook. Meanwhile, Jin was already en route to Newark for the next show. Staff were reportedly under instruction to avoid any media questions related to Jungkook. No one was allowed to reserve the front row seat near section C7, the same location mirroring the empty seat from Tampa. When the concert night in Newark arrived, fans held their breath. The lights dimmed, the intro rolled, Jin entered with a burst of energy, his smile wide, his vocals flawless. He performed like nothing had happened, like he hadn't looked at an empty chair days before and broken a million hearts without saying a word. But just before the encore, the arena went quiet. Jin stood in the center of the stage, holding his mic loosely. He was hunting behind, closing his eyes for a few seconds, then looked up. There it was again, that look. Same direction, same depth, same ache behind his eyes. And even though no one spoke, thousands knew exactly what it meant. Even if Jungkook wasn't there, he was everywhere in that moment. In the silence between songs, in the hesitation before Jin's smile, in the weight of one glance too many. Somewhere in that arena, someone whispered, "He's still waiting." And across the world, fans clutched their hearts, knowing the truth. The seat may have been empty, but the story it told was full of everything words could never say.